All right, David. Question one, scripted, everything else off script. But question one, you could probably spend all 30 minutes talking about it. How did you accidentally fall into franchising? What's your franchise backstory?
That is actually the word accidentally is the operative word. I got it. I moved to Denver. I was in the restaurant hotel space, and we're taking over a hotel there. And I ran into this brand called Quiznos that at the time had 18 restaurants, and became a multi-unit franchisee with my partners, and ended up opening a bunch of them, and then buying a bunch of territory. Good things and not so good things, but that was really my introduction as a franchisee, multi-unit operator, corporate development guy, international development. It was just a big learning curve.
I'm curious. Go back to Quiznos days, because that's a rare scenario for something to catch that much heat. I get, like, in current world, the closest is maybe like a Blaze Pizza or some of the frozen yogurt brands that have these runs, but still not as sustainable as Quiznos. What was the magic of what made a brand like that take off? And as a side note or side question, that magic, what could a brand today learn from the positive of the magic of Quiznos then?
I think, first of all, it was Subway was the number one. There was no clear number two, so it was a bit of a horse race to fill that gap. Rick Shadden, who was the CEO at the time, brought in and onboarded a lot of people like myself that started as franchisees and as operators and had a lot of pretty deep buy-in to the success of the brand. And he built just really high performance teams that built really, really strong processes. But we were very innovative. We were doing huge seminars, 500 people in the room, and we were doing a lot of advertising that people just didn't do before. I mean, we just did a lot of stuff nobody did. And so Rick really built the teams and gave them a lot of freeway to try different things and gave them the resources, and it just became a horse race after that, just growing. I think the year I left in 2006, when the company sold the first time, we opened about 1,000 restaurants that year. So building a machine that can do that takes a lot of great people, who many of whom I'm still close friends with today.
All right, as turning the page on that question, is getting to that sort of pace, does that end up being part of the reason why it then tumbles over and goes the other direction?
No, I think when Quiznos, not in my opinion, when Quiznos sold, it was a leverage buyout. 2006, when revenues were increasing year after year, was fine. You hit 2008, and the world economy falls apart. All of a sudden, all that debt dragged down a lot of brands, and I think that was the beginning. They also lost, changed management teams, and I think the new people that brought in were really smart, but didn't necessarily really understand the brand, and they went through a lot of management turnover. And then, the competitors got good, and the whole idea of toasted subs being a differentiator. At some point not that long ago, someone said to me something about Subway inventing toasted subs, and I was like, man, that tells you what a few $billion of marketing a year does. Like, when you're the 800-pound gorilla, you can make people believe whatever you want. So yeah. It was funny.
I think that probably the value, and I'm gonna tell you what I think the answer is for you now in this part of your career where you're with obviously a different business, is that you have a lens or a governor of what feels good and what feels bad. And that's probably both for franchisee selection and then also advisory back to franchisor to say, like, I know what it feels like. And that experience probably ends up being invaluable for what you're able to contribute now and taking an emerging brand for what the category is, not an emerging brand and what it is, but for the category,
Sure.
are now putting pieces in place that could actually make it lift.
That's certainly part of my value as a team member. That being said, I work with and for a lot of other really, really smart people, which is kind of the reason I'm here. Is I love the food, I love the brand, but it's really the team that that I get married to, I guess, so to speak. And I think that's what it takes. It takes a really strong, high creative, executed. Certainly, experience has a lot to do with it, but the world is, as you know, the world is changing so fast. The constant learning and iteration and staying on the forward edge of that thinking, that thought process, without being maybe on the bleeding edge, but not too far out, is I think really critical today as well.
Well, like about that answer, if I've used this line way too many times, I say if I'm buying a franchise, I bet on the jockey, not on the horse. And what you just said is I'm surrounded by a team of people that are extremely smart. And so part of it is like you can certainly create points of differentiation in a sandwich category. You can, but at the end of the day, it's still a sandwich. And so now can you get obviously higher frequency of a customer with your brand than another sandwich brand and all the things that happen from a marketing standpoint. But the question above that as a franchisee is there a team around it that obviously is going to truly support me, not just use the word support? And secondly, how do they continuously think about innovation to make sure that bad things, innovation from a business standpoint and innovation from a customer standpoint, to make sure that my investment is protected? Would you say like team and culture ends up being a very important ingredient about why someone would buy a Capriotti's today?
Yeah, I'd say our term for culture is values. So values alignment from a franchisee to franchisor perspective. One of our values is just to be the best. We call it passion, a passion to be the best, and that really drives long term how we think about things. We're not looking to keep things even keel and not. We're looking to innovate. We're looking, whether it's in product or technology or operations or whatever. So I think values alignment is huge and probably underestimated by a lot of people because in my experience, if you don't align from a values standpoint, at some point in time, one of the parties is going to self-select out and get apart ways. So I and we as a company try and start there first, actually.
Give me a state of the union. What's going on with the business currently, and where are things at? How's franchise growth going?
It's been very consistent. I go as far back as COVID, where that was an inflection point for us because we had adopted off-premise delivery so well in advance of COVID, again, being sort of on the forefront of the technology curve. And so that was a boom time for us. I don't like to talk about COVID that way, but we had record growth, record sales, record profits. And so we've seen that kind of continue, very steady growth across the country. We're in 30 states today and, growing at a pace that we're very comfortable with. We are a multi-unit operator driven system. We're not, single unit operators primarily. So that's worked really well for us when you're doing it like that, because you're not bringing in just new people every day. You're supporting your existing team. And so we're seeing a lot of success. And then I think probably for us, the most encouraging thing is as we've entered a lot of new markets more and more, we're seeing record revenues in those markets. So that's been really good. We are very focused on unit level economics or that return on investment model and continuing to improve that in a challenging environment. So on the one hand, it's challenging. On the other hand, it's a differentiator for us. We own and operate about 20 shops ourselves. And I think a lot of franchisors don't do that and don't think about that as a priority. It does for us. And aside from the fact that we make a lot of money at it, and that helps, it also just puts us in the same shoes as our franchise partners. If we make a mistake, it frankly hurts us as much or more than anybody else. So I think, again, that alignment around where we're focusing. Growth is important to us, but that comes if you have a strong economic model, a really differentiated product and a brand. And right now our brand, I say the Capriotti's halo is actually much bigger than our actual business. And that's a good place to be.
How many units are open now?
We have about 180 open with about another 150 in development right now. So again, kind of comfortable. That tells us what does the next few years look like going out, because those take some time to find sites, et cetera. So a really good growth pace for us. And, as you said, we're never the first sandwich brand on the block, right? So we've got to be really smart about our real estate and positioning the competition. Market with the real estate process.
Do you feel pressure to sell or grow today, or is it now let's just get the right people in that are going to scale with us, and we value one franchisee versus multiple? Do you still have pressures to sell?
Well, so question.
Let's see, David. Let's see if you come back. You're frozen if you can hear me. Maybe. There you are. Yay.
I can hear you. Sorry.
All right, good. Yeah. Like, do you feel, the question was, do you feel pressure to sell today? After all this time in your career, you know what the right candidate is. Is it like, let's just go get the right blood into the system?
Yeah, again, we have to align from a value standpoint first. Finding the right franchise partners is critical to the success of our shops. And so finding the right people and helping them, really, really supporting them through the process. Over the years, we've doubled the amount of training we provide to them, doubled the people we send out to help them open their shops. And that's really paid off for us. It's just, it means we're opening stores at much higher volumes and they're holding those volumes long term. So we're kind of focused on the basics. We're not looking to be the fastest, and we're probably never going to be the biggest, right? That's our niche. We have an upscale product that doesn't belong in every single block in the country, which is fine. But for us, it's a really strong business model that continues to have strong return on investment, and we think that's the right strategy to win long term, as we define winning.
Yeah, right. Let's close with this. If there's a candidate watching this right now, what else do you want them to know about Capriotti's?
You should check us out, right? Like, you should watch us, keep an eye on us. It's always a question of timing. From my perspective, it's not always the right time for somebody. But if you're thinking about, really investing and getting into business, make sure you pick the right partner, and the right starts with people, as you said. And I think we are, unique in that we do what we say we're going to do, and we keep doing it year after year. So I see lots of other brands come and go and predict world dominance and all that kind of stuff. And, we just want to build a great business, and we want to have long-term relationships with our franchise partners, and frankly, with everybody, with our vendors, our customers. We want to have those kind of relationships, and we think that's the right long-term strategy. So if they align with that, great. If they're looking for something, whatever that's different, then there's lots and lots of opportunities out there.
How many units did Capriotti's have when you started with them?
I think it was 40 some odd units.
I think that's the point of me asking that question is, like, when you find someone that has history, experience as a franchisee, as a franchisor, that clearly can have a voice, that can have impact, that can be surrounded by good people, that now can go from 40 to 180. If I took every 40 unit brand that exists in the world and said, okay, would you like to be at 180? They'd be like, absolutely, that'd be great. If you take a 180 brand that said, do you want to be the size of Quiznos? They might say, yeah, eventually, but here's the process that it's going to take to get there. And so just how much you've won with the business is tremendous. And then if I break down the opportunity, we talked about culture or purpose or values. We talked about real estate selection and profitability. We talked about finding operators that the only reason they're going to become multi-unit is if you do what you say you're going to do, which means the expectations were set properly. And so for someone that's interested in food, you have all those check boxes. And so from my viewpoint, the biggest miss by an operator in franchising is they don't invite enough brands to the table. They get very excited by the flashy thing. Flash doesn't always equal sustainability. And I think what we just heard is what you've done from a sustainability standpoint has had tremendous impact and has set up a tremendous business at 180 units with 100 in development. That's great. So, yeah, David, I'm grateful that you gave me some of your time. Thanks for sharing some of the story.
It's great, Nick. It's always great to reconnect with people I haven't, been in the industry for a long time and haven't had a chance to talk to in a while. So I appreciate it.
It's good seeing you. For David, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Franchise. Take care.